Hey there, it's still September, there's still a few days left, and if you like what I got to say, then you should hop on over to Titan Forge's Patreon, sign up, and get what they got. It's called Old City, and I think what really enticed me the most, that made me sign up, was the idea that you could print off a lot of city guards. Because a lot of times with a lot of subscriptions, you see a lot of like bad guys or a lot of monsters. Now these still could be bad guys. They could be bad guards. And they are riding what they call a siege giant, so maybe they're not the nicest people. And there's some sort of like sergeant at arms or something, and he's got a pretty mean scowl. But I've always loved the idea of playing as bad guys. Let's get together like with a bunch of orcs, or like maybe we are the goblins and now the bad guys are a bunch of guards, city guards. So that was what enchanted me. And I've always seen like a few other subscription services that have these sort of modular creatures where you mix and match and all this stuff, and that's what Titan Forge offers with some of their little people. Now, they also have some jesters, which I think is a fun way. You're probably not going to use them as players. You're probably not going to use them, I don't even know, as bad guys. The first thing that comes to my mind is these could be really fun NPCs. And then there's this other group of three. I don't know what they are. They're labeled as gutter shade something or others, and I don't know what the fuck that means. The only one that's kind of, I want to say really usable, maybe. There's this assassin-looking guy that looks great. It's a great design. That could be a cool player, could be a cool bad guy, could be a cool NPC. And then they do have this, I don't know, what is this? It's like a half-orc, sort of like a half-orc bard or someone with a drum. That could be fun, I guess, if you come across like a war party or something. I don't know what you'd use it for. And then again, you have this big sergeant guy that looks pretty good. A couple archers. A thing that really pissed me off, I do shoot a bow and arrow now and again, and they designed them incorrectly. The arrow always goes like on these knuckles if you're holding the bow, and it's not on the outside, so they fucked that up. It's a sort of a common mistake, but there's really no excuse. It's great. It's great. You got a few different options for archers. And then going to the city watch, the actual modular part, this is really, it's endless. I just printed all 4 of them because there's 4 different bodies. Of course, you could always mirror them, and then you get 8, and lots of different options. The problem with all of this is that you can fit all of the models onto one build plate of a Saturn, which is what I have. But it's like 51 files. But there's also then 51 models, plus you do need to print off some extra heads. And it's a goddamn clusterfuck. If you print off all of that at once, because why wouldn't you just do it all at once, you're then just left with this giant mishmash of stuff. And it's a huge pain in the butt to try and get like a hand versus a different hand versus choosing the head and the body and then mixing up the base. So you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different parts to get together and pin together. And I almost think it's more of an effort than I want to put together. Just, I don't know, give me one archer design and I'll flip him around, or one guy with a halberd and I'll flip it around. If I wanted an entire army of completely different looking people, maybe. If I was doing a diorama and I really wanted to spend that amount of time, yeah, I could see it. But if I'm just playing a game of Hero Quest, I love Hero Quest, or a game just where they're representative of a thing and they don't need to be totally different, then this is just, I don't know, it's too much of a pain in the ass. I mean, it's not that much. If you print off everything, it's like, a little over $10. The Siege Giant, I will say, is pretty great. That's probably worth the cost of admission right there. Probably without the deck on his back, because the deck on his back makes him more of a diorama piece rather than a game piece. The guy that's hanging off the back is sort of calling to some friends. He's mid-action. He's doing a thing. there's someone else that's holding on to a post. They're sort of engaged in a thing that is very specific, that if you then put them into some other scenario, it just looks weird. So it seems maybe better without the deck. Just keep that really great fucking siege giant. It's awesome. I started printing off some of the terrain. I may show some photos. I may not show some photos. They're big. They're big. They're heavy. They take a lot of resin. They take a lot of time because they're so tall. I printed some flat with a flex plate. I don't know if that's worth it. I mean, Dave Graffam has some paper models that are quicker. They look better. They're faster. Yeah, all in, is it worth it? I would probably say not. I mean, if I or I don't. Yes, I guess maybe just to get a bunch of guards, because when do you ever really get those? That's somewhat unique. I don't think it's worth it for the terrain so far. Those are my 2 cents. That's, I think, all I have to say about that.